morning, everyone. It's a minute away from being good afternoon. She's Acacia Clement. I'm Andy Serling. Talking horses.
Yeah.
And we've even got a couple turf races, even though
know.
you normally
Just
get them
two
off.
out of the four
Yeah,
races off the
I'm a little surprised at that, but that's what it was. Races 2 and 9 are off. 6 and 8 remain on. We have a 9-race card today, and we'll get to work. Go over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. We've got a $30 bonus for, what do you got, 150 each at Belmont and Pimlico. Of course, it is Black Eyed Susan, Pimlico special today. Did you look much at those races? I looked a little bit.
I just looked at the Black Eyed Susan itself a little bit.
I don't think we're going to see anybody in there who's going to beat Good Cheer.
No,
I could be wrong about that. I've been wrong
Yeah,
before, but
I
I'm
don't
going to
think so.
go out on a limb there and say that's the case. And of course, that's the feature always the day before the Preakness, which is tomorrow. Good news is that it's clearing up, and it's supposed to be a nice weekend there.
That looks like my girl. Don't look back at all with the white face.
That's a.
I think it's her winning the Caress.
Oh yeah, with a
Yeah.
big tour inside is the horse I love that you have that Clement has now. Dance Macabre.
Macabre.
Wasn't she down on the
Yeah,
rail like
yeah,
inside
yeah,
of her,
she
sort of
was.
right behind
She
her?
was.
Right.
Yeah.
I have great love for. I think my love for Dance Macabre is she's a cool horse, but
She is.
also I like the poem. We used to do the poem in school when I was a kid,
Ah.
so I go back a ways with that. And we also have Cross Country Big Five because I know you're all looking at Woodbine today. It's the pre-Preakness Day tradition in this country. You look at Woodbine, so we've got 3 from Woodbine and 2 here.
Andy loves Canadian.
And let me tell you that you've been to Woodbine.
Yeah, I have. It's
Well,
a great
track.
Yeah. I
Love-
got to go for when it was the Queen's Plate.
Really?
Several years ago. which was
Yeah,
really
I'm
cool.
never
Yeah.
going to warm up to that whole King's Plate
I
thing. I just
know,
never
I
am.
know,
And the other thing is that the Queen, I mean, nothing against Prince Charles, who seems like
no.
a good guy,
Yeah.
and he's on the right side and like the environment and things.
Yeah.
But the Queen loved racing.
I know.
And I think, they should, I mean, I understand the thing behind it, but she was a real racing fan.
I know. When we went to Royal Ascot, I felt kind of bad because Charles and Camilla were there, and I was kind of like not that excited.
Everybody wanted to meet
I know.
the
Which
Queen.
is sad. Like if the Queen was there, I would have been really excited.
Yeah,
genuinely.
I love the stuff in The Crown on Netflix when
Yeah.
she's watching the races and stuff. And I think when there's that scene, when there's that episode where I think it's William is helping her get cable.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'll just watch the horse
Just to
racing
watch
channel all
racing.
day.
Yeah.
I was in
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
She's awesome. Yeah, no,
And she was like that. She loved racing.
Oh yeah, no, she was not a fake racing fan. She was a real racer. Well, I don't know if you know this, but the first conversation I ever had with your father-in-law, shortly after I came to work here, I didn't really know him. I mean, I knew him maybe to say hi, but I didn't really know him. And he had a horse for the Queen
Yes.
that was making her U.S. debut, and I had gone on Talking Horses and done my usual nonsense or prattles, and the horse was running on Lasix, and this was at a time when the Lasix debate was.
Okay.
And I said, well, at least the Queen has made it clear what her position on Lasix is. And I guess the stable manager watching the show called up Christophe, kind of upset that someone would say this about
You
it.
caused
and,
drama.
and Tony Kovitz and Christophe were out in front of Belmont. I was coming in, and Tony called me over. It's the first time I talked to him, and he said, I tried to explain to them, he's just having fun. He's making a joke, and he's having fun with it. But he said, you have to remember, everybody's always watching.
That's right.
I love
That's
that.
right.
I love that. Anyway, all right, race number 1. The horse who's the current second choice, we'll show Golden Purchase just to get things started and show a replay. I know this horse is recently running figures that make him a player, and he'll probably go from his 5 to 2. I just feel like or hope that there are more interesting horses in this race, and I think you agree.
It's just been a long time between drinks for this horse. He's 1 for 49 with 4 seconds and 4 thirds. He's been right there recently. I mean, as far as his overall form, he's been in good form. It's just he never wins.
He doesn't want to win. I mean, it's race
Doesn't
2
wanna
back.
win.
I bet him 2
I
back,
know.
and that was
I
just
agree.
one of the most epic hangs I've ever seen.
Yep.
It was the favorite in that race, just completely didn't show up,
Yeah.
and he
he was outgamed for second here as well.
He's got a little Jacques Hu in him.
Yeah.
So you have gone to 6, so I pick second. Go ahead.
Class drop is the biggest thing, not to mention it's a horse that has some natural speed. I think last time out against Tougher, in over his head, and runs better when he's able to be a bit more forwardly placed. Just running for the lowest that he's run, broke his maiden for 20,000. I thought this was the spot at which he belonged.
Yeah, he's a funny horse because I think he's one of these horses that the first time you look at him, you kind of go, eh.
I know.
And then you start looking more.
It
and
was in
you
my
make the-
second pass through that I was kind of like, oh, actually, he makes more sense.
No,
Yeah.
I agree because everything you said is true. You know, they were too ambitious off the claim. I mean, off the maiden win. He didn't even run that badly. He ran a
No, he ran okay,
figure that's
actually.
competitive with these. And then last time out, he was in a race. He had absolutely no chance against those horses. And I agree with you. I think he's very interesting. I don't have any real trust for Accidental Bid because he does like to stop. But he is as loose as can be.
He
and
is,
he's coming out of a race that was, the pace was just too fast for him. The way speed has gone, you know, yesterday's track, I do think speed was an advantage, but I think you have to be careful when you have that many logical results.
Right. That's what I was
and
going to say. A
horses
lot of
winning
them
up
made a
front.
lot of sense.
Right. You know, and the horse in the last race made a nice close to win the race. We did see another horse. So I think it was speed friendly. And you know, you get to that point because though the track had been fair the last few days where you start to get a little gun shy and see it. And it was wet, and I understand those things. So we'll see if that helps him out. Trade Imbalance is the horse that you sort of don't know what to do with. It's
I
currently
know.
even money because there's a chance that he's just can't run at all.
I know. He won first time out. That was in August of 2023 in a rather slow race. And then we didn't see him again until April of 2025 in an 80,000 non-winners of 2 at Keeneland, where he was off slow. He was climbing at the back. He never looked comfortable and made no late run.
But
at
Manny
all
was,
there.
I mean, Manny
was
rode him the
trying.
whole way. I mean,
He
Manny was doing
trying.
his
I know.
damnedest to get the horse to
He
run.
was trying. I give him a lot of
right,
credit. but
and he's
yeah.
a strong guy, and
Yeah.
this horse had
Even
just
he could
nothing.
not, yeah.
Right, I totally agree. He was terrible. You know, his maiden one wasn't that bad. I mean, Agate rode obviously a better turf horse, but that was a fast pace that collapsed, and he was
Yeah,
kind of on
that's fair.
top of the pace, and it felt like a race that he could have turned out to do well from, but it's, you know, almost 2 years. He comes back, and listen, maybe he wins this race, but man, he's a tough horse
Yeah.
to take at a short price,
He
isn't
really
he?
is. He
And
really
I mean, I
is.
don't think it's going to be even money, but when you have the drop down, the Chad Brown factor, he is just going to take money, and I just don't know if he can run it all anymore.
I agree.
Race number 2, unfortunately, came off the turf.
I was
and
so excited to see Rungus try at the turf finally.
it's amazing how long they took to get
I
there, given how much
know.
pedigree. He's
I
after
know.
4 horses to try the turf. They were all good.
Sweet Melania, Sweet Rebecca, stakes quality turf fillies.
Yeah, no, and
yeah.
he seemed like a very interesting horse in the turf. And now, you know, I don't know that he'll be favored in here because they're going to bet on leading contender. And we'll take a look at Strapped while we talk about the race, because the reality is that Strapped is coming into this race with better form than leading contender.
I
and
agree.
that was a cue on the replay. The leading contender, okay, he was at one time probably better than these horses.
Yeah, but is he
and,
now?
And I don't want to, you know, condemn him off his last race, a race off a layoff, going a mile, clearly a spot where he needed a race. His entry mate won the race, but I don't have any confidence in him
No.
at all. And Runchius is just loose. So in
I
these
agree.
3-horse fields, you know, the one thing is I don't know how much the pace advantage matters, but I think Ricardo's just supposed to let him roll a little bit.
100%. That was my thinking
Let him
too.
play
I
his game.
liked him getting onto the turf because of the pedigree, and I decided to leave him on the main track as well. And then, as far as leading contender is concerned, yes, the entry mate won the race that day, but to me, watching that just never really looked like he was traveling comfortably throughout any stretch of that race. Now, maybe he needed
may have
the
just needed the
start.
race, to be
Exactly,
fair.
that's what I'm saying. But I did actually think that Strapped ran okay, given that he broke slowly last time out and he was grinding. I think he was
That was
against
a
the
speed track. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he ran fine.
I
I
agree.
agree. I mean, I don't think there's any of these 3 that can't win. This
No,
is not a
absolutely.
3-horse field where they're all. I agree. I mean, Runchius just has the advantage of speed, and listen, he handles a distance, and it's not like you're just hoping that he wires the field. He's got some talent.
Yeah, he does,
but
absolutely.
he is slower than the other 2 on their best days. But you just sort of hope leading contender may not be the horse he once was, and maybe the pace advantage helps him. All right, race number 3. Okay, Linda, we'll discuss later why you scratched Equus.
I know.
Give you time to think up your good excuse on this one.
know.
Maybe he was, I didn't look, maybe he was a vet scratch, not a private vet scratch, because those are nonsense in my opinion. Brazina, off the claim for Jamie Ness. Tough to forgive a horse, and you've got the horse second, and I have her
Yep.
third, who lost a race at 2 to 5
I
last time
know.
out.
That was the big thing for me. I know the track was playing fast that day, but she was forward. She wasn't too far off of
she should
it,
never have
and she
lost.
just was bad at a short price. And I know it was claimed away from Jamie Ness, but it was for Linda Rice. And now Jamie Ness claims her back, and she wasn't in great form even prior to that.
I agree. I mean, she can win. I'm not going to be surprised if she does. I think do you have the 7 on top in here?
Yes. Yeah,
I
I
think she's
scratched into the 7.
I thought she was the worst to beat.
Yep, I think so too. I know that it's been a little bit of time since she's seen the winner's circle, but she's taking a big drop in class. She's been facing better. She has the ability to not be too far off of it as well, and she's just overall rather consistent and has been facing some decent fields.
I agree. I mean, she's coming out of a race. She couldn't beat those horses
No, of
relative
course.
to these. I think she is absolutely the worst to beat. I flirted a little bit with Maggie T because with Steven Shower
know.
claimed the horse and he's had so much success with his horses. She feels like the speed of what may be at least a fair pace in here.
What about It Takes Heart?
Um,
She's not going to send?
I don't think she's as fast as that one. I think I'd be more worried about a horse like Spring Magic or Brazina going, to be honest with you, being speeds. I think she'll go. Listen, maybe Steve Shower really moves her up. He's got to move her up a lot to win this race. As far as Iris Jackson, she's one of these horses that I'm picking, but I'm still not sure she's good enough to win this race. I don't really think she's necessarily good enough to beat Killy Start, but she got just an absolutely ridiculous trip last time. She was completely eliminated at the start in the race, and she actually ran pretty well when you consider the way the race was run, and I thought it was a good effort. My problem is you go through her PPs, and you've got to stretch it a bit to get races that are good enough to win this race. So while she's a horse that's better than she looks off her last race, I have some concerns that even if she runs her best race, she may not be good enough. I picked her. If you put a gun to my head and said, do you think she's more likely to be in the 7? I'd say no, but maybe she'll be enough of a better price.
No, I agree. I agree. She may not be as good of a talent as Killy Start in here, but hopefully it just gets her through the trip that she did last time.
You can just sort of hope that those things happen, but I don't have any great confidence. Race number 4. I'm not going to try to beat Material Girl, and
No,
I can see you are. Show her
looking
last race.
through. I tried looking through for alternatives, and I just kept kind of coming back to her. I don't love that she was up close and she took the lead away, and then the winner came back. But Pretty Magical has been in good form recently, and so I kind of elevated her through that, and she's been freshened a bit since February.
And I do think the rail was a big advantage on this day, so I think that helped Pretty Magical. And you're right, and she's had a second, and she had a win yesterday, so she's held that good form. And I just think Material Girl was compromised by the inside. Now listen, she is a Chad Brown horse that has had her chances. She has only been a short price in her last race, so she's not. It's money. And the other thing is, when you go to the Eagle Rising Full Pour race, I just think these horses are inferior. I know that the speed figure is close. I'm a little bit skeptical about this race.
That's
Maybe
fair.
I'm wrong.
That's fair. I did think that Eagle Rising improved quite a bit, switching to the main track.
I agree.
As far as Full Pour, she looked like she was still a bit green for me. Right there, she's on the outside, hanging on the left lead, and when she does switch late, she actually almost gets up for second when she comes running. So I thought that she was one that maybe had a bit more upside. That was her first time going long. Seems like she was still figuring things out. She was a bigger price that day. I think she'll be even a little bit bigger price than Eagle Rising in here as well. I thought they were both fine, having stepped forward in there.
They're not impossible. I've decided to go against them. I always like to see the little Bluebird guys do well, so I hope she outruns what I think she'll do in here. I think Farmhouse is going to run better. I know she's been a big disappointment. And listen, she's slow. On the other hand, she didn't want any part of a 1 1/8 last time out. She was against the track 2 races back. So I do think there's an argument that she's a little bit dirtied up and maybe she'll run a little bit better today. And I also wondered about Patience and Grace, who comes out of a race where she really just she was dropping back under a ride in that race. It was sort of a weird situation, but she came running at the end. And I know you could say that race was somewhat coming apart, but the horse who was second was a speed in there. So I actually thought she was a little bit interesting, Patience and Grace, to maybe improve, getting a little more distance in her second start.
Okay, yeah, she'll certainly be a price in there.
All right, race number 5, and we'll take a break after 5. I think you and I are on the same page that it's the best 2 horses, the 2 on the outside. We'll take a look at Kunshin Bridges. I think it's the last race. Yes, and you can talk about her.
This one, this was off of a layoff. I thought this is a horse. I've always had a little bit of an affinity for this horse as well. I was encouraged by the fact that this horse won for 16 in his first start with Ilkai, moving over from Matt, then had the layoff, came back and ran for the waiver, and is now protected in here as well.
I'm going to interrupt 1 second. The reason I showed so much this replay is This horse was in a very good spot and just kind of took herself out of it down on the
Yeah, she
inside,
did.
and then he re-rallied. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just
Yes.
wanted to
No,
point out
you,
why
you
I
are
showed so much
absolutely right
race.
about that. Yes, re-rallied up the
It's a
inside.
weird
Which,
race.
to be fair, I did also think too that was the day I had written
The rail
down
was
that you
good.
wanted to be on the
Yep.
inside, so that might have helped him. But what
It's
I
an
was
odd effort, though.
it was. You don't normally see horses re-engage inside like that as well. Usually it's kind of if they tip out, they'll re-rally a bit to the outside. You don't see it as much inside. Now, that being said, I like that he's protected again and was protected last time with a certain time length of layoff. You can use the waiver twice. So I think that's encouraging.
No, I don't have any problem with him. I think he ran fine. I just looked at Lost in Rome, and I don't know. You got a horse that's cutting back in distance, which I thought was a little bit interesting. And here it's a severe cutback for a horse claimed by Rob Atras. Doesn't have great numbers off the claim, but I thought he would be an interesting horse going into Rob's barn and getting less distance. He's got races that are good enough to win this on the go back, and I'm just kind of hoping he can find those better races.
Reclaimed by Rob, in fact.
What's
Yeah.
that? Reclaimed, yes.
Yeah.
So he's been in a lot of barns, this horse. I just thought he was an interesting alternative because I really didn't like the others in here. I've kind of had enough of Tetsu. I know he was a little bit against the track last time out. Brew Pub never wins, and I just wanted the new faces towards the outside.
I agree. I thought it was between the 7 and 8.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back with the late pick four.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
We're back. Keisha and Andy back on the turf in race number 6. Yet somehow we still lost 2 horses from this race.
I
so
know.
it is what it is. Mystifying. I think Mystifying's first replay will show the last race. I thought Mystifying. I thought Mystifying ran better 2-back than this race, actually.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Where he was wide, pushing a pace the whole way, lost a horse that won a stake in its next start, and maybe needed the race. I don't have anything against this horse, and he's probably the speed of the race, or she is speed of the race, and she's the horse to beat. I think you and I just have a different idea in here, but I don't have an argument against her. She's pretty good.
No, I agree. I mean, she was outgamed in that group of 3, kind of coming down to the wire there. It looked like she kind of almost pulled herself up
Yeah,
a little
she's-
bit in the
she's
stretch,
fine.
but she ran fine. It was off of a layoff, and it was certainly encouraging with how well she ran in that race 2 starts back because it was her first turf race. Now, that being said, I thought that the 7-3 Priest, I wanted to give her another chance because this
Show her
is...
last race.
So this will be the first time Mystifying is stretching out in distance, whereas 3 Priests has foundation at distance already. I actually thought she ran a deceptively good race in the Via Borghese 2 starts
I thought she
back.
ran extremely
I
well
thought-
with a terrible ride.
Yes, I agree.
Horrendous
I
ride.
thought that she has some quality. Now, last time out, she was off a little bit slow, whereas she used pace 2 starts back, and she just not enough kick last time. But I thought the foundation and some of those 3-turn turf races down at Gulfstream are a little bit tricky sometimes to read.
Yeah, no, she did not run particularly well in this race.
No, she didn't. I thought
she was a
I was
cinch.
going off of her race 2 back.
I am
Yeah.
too. No, I agree. If you just take her on that race that we showed,
Yeah.
I don't love her. It was weird that she wasn't favored over Silvology. Now I know Silvology's grown up to
Silvology
be a
has
decent
turned out to be-
horse,
yeah.
but she was also coming off a maiden win, and it's like they knew she was going to win, or they knew this horse wasn't going to run.
Yeah.
And based on her race 2 back, because I had bet her 2 back and just thought she got just a terrible ride, and you can watch the replay. It's a terrible ride.
Yeah. It was not the right
I like
choice for
picking
her.
up Manny here, and I'm just kind of hoping she can find her good form, and she's not going to be favored in this race. And the other horses, like I don't like seat at the table. I think that she was getting absolutely perfect trips.
She was.
Against weaker horses down in Florida. I thought Can't Fool Me is not impossible in this race, but I wonder if maybe she'll need a race off the layoff.
That was my concern about her too, and I do wonder about her going so far. She's also one that usually is very high energy prior to her races, so and especially off of the bench, I thought could be a bit of a tall order. I saw seat at the table several times down at Tampa, and look, she held her form overall
She
quite
did.
well, but when she went back into Florida Bred Stakes Company, she was not able to fire at all last
Yeah,
time.
I don't think she's good enough to beat these
No,
horses.
I agree.
Personally,
I
you
agree.
know, we'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong. Race number 7. So Fast and Frisky didn't run yesterday because she was entered today, and now she's scratched.
Now
So
she's
maybe,
scratched, I
Maybe
know.
she's sick. I don't know. She's
Yes.
probably sick because she was in a good spot here, as was Brown Sugar Babe, changing things a lot.
Yeah.
Can we switch to replays, guys, and start with Mama's Got a Gun since we both picked her? This is her win against Embraceable Gal 2 races back. I had liked her this day, and she ran extremely well. She didn't get out of the gate, and she circled the field and ran big. But she was
the getting
bad
out of
last
the
time.
gate's been a bit of a bad habit
Yes.
recently.
She was bad last time.
She was.
And that concerns me a little bit. But I thought that she ran so well in this race. And I
know.
didn't love any of these. And we'll get to Clover Street and Valtellina in a minute. I was hoping today she'd get back to her good race. But, you know, with the scratches in this race, doesn't it kind of move up Clover Street?
It does.
And not help her particularly?
It does. Now, the thing about Mama's Got a Gun versus horses like Embraceable Gal, Valtellina, those horses are coming in off of a first level allowance win and stepping up to the 2X. And I was hoping we were going to see Mama's Got a Gun, who did that last time and didn't fire, be a bit stronger today. She obviously has ability. I thought she ran really well last time
did.
out. And
Two back, two back she
Two
ran
back,
well.
I'm sorry. I was wondering if a horse like Valtellina, who
Take a look at her last race.
she won, and she ran well last time. She's not been the most consistent throughout her career. And she beat Pretty Magical, who did come back to win yesterday, but now she's got to step up to the next level.
I agree, but I'll say something about her as far as this race concerned, and I preferred Clover Street a little bit. First of all,
Yeah.
you get the money with her last time. That was the wedding. Today, you don't know how it's going to
Yeah.
work out, and similar to what you're talking about breaking your condition and then moving up, how much tougher it gets. But the thing that made a difference for her was being aggressive. If you look at her, when Dylan was aggressive with her early, she actually ran her better races. And then she started to lose that speed, or they got unaggressive with her. She didn't run well at all. And I think in this race where there isn't that much pace, I believe a new aggressive riding style probably puts her in a very good spot in this race. And she might just be a horse, you know, because she was a horse, Valtellina, that early in her career looked like she was going to be pretty good.
They were really high on her.
She
after her
looked
first
okay,
start,
and
yeah.
she kind of fell apart. But then last time she showed it.
Yep, she did. And it was good to see her come back because there's obviously talent there.
No, I agree. And Ray's, you know, you're turning it around, Ray, after a bit of a slow win. Ray's probably getting all excited by the Knicks tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm
he
excited
is.
to root against them. I really
I don't know
am.
if he's going to be there.
It took a lot to make me a Celtics fan, but here I am.
Is Jason Tatum still? He's out, right?
He blew his Achilles, so
I
he's definitely
know,
out for
yeah.
a year plus. I
Yikes.
once went.
Do you believe in the conspiracies that he was tripped?
No, I don't believe in conspiracies at all because
So
I'm
shocking,
not quite
Andy,
insane
not-
yet.
not a
or that
conspiracy
insane yet. No, when James Nolan had Charles Oakley thrown out of the garden, that was it for me with the Knicks. I love Charles, and I side with Charles. Race number 8, AP Kid, who does appear to be the speed in this race. He may well win this race. I don't
I
have anything really
know.
against him. I just worry a little about these horses that got these trips out at Gulfstream, how confident I'm going to be that they're going to come back and run as well.
I know. I think it's a very good question. He had a beautiful trip that day, and he looked like he was still a little bit green. He was kind of looking around in the stretch, reacting a little bit to the crop, but he was clear against that group. The second place finisher came back to win with a 76 Spire. Third place finisher came back with a 71, and there was another one in that race to come back with a 76. So a decent race that
I
he
agree.
did face and clearly appreciated getting onto the turf. Can he do it again? I don't know, but I did think that he was going to be forward.
Dave O'Rourke is mad at me now because I'm rooting for the Celtics. Dave's a big Knicks fan.
It's okay, Dave. I'm not.
I'm rooting for the Celtics, Dave, whether you like it or not. I cannot root for the Knicks until Charles Oakley is
I
welcome
know.
back in the garden
Welcome
with
back.
open arms.
This is for Andy Serling. Yeah.
Let me tell you, if you're a real Nick fan, you're siding with Charles Oakley. I'm sorry, I'm not a Johnny come
I'm a
lately.
fair weather. I'm
not a
weather
Johnny
fan,
come
I won't
lately. I've
lie.
been a Nick fan, was a Nick fan for a long.
I know you
You
were.
know, when I turned to the Knicks, really was when they got in the fight in Miami in '97. But that's way before your time. So
I'm
thought-
more of a college basketball
I
fan
thought,
myself.
yeah, I just don't have the time. You can't do both.
I know,
So
that's
Hands
fair.
of Time. Hands of Time. We'll take a look at the maiden win. I've never loved Hands of Time, and I'm going to say he sort of had the run of the race when he got it done this race 2 back. But you're talking about a horse that was running figures that were only a little bit lower than the figure that AP Kid ran, and those were 2-year-old numbers. And 2-year-old turf numbers, especially routes, so frequently improve 15 points from 2 to 3. You see it all the time. And this is a horse that doesn't even need to improve that much off of this win. And yeah, he had a good trip, but so did AP Kid. It's not like AP Kid overcame some sort of, and he's going to be a real favorite, AP Kid. Listen, Hands of Time's not exactly a long shot in this race, but he's not going to be the favorite. And he was running almost as fast as a 2-year-old. So, he got a prep on the synthetic, and I think that can work out well for him. And I just don't really like anybody else in here.
I know.
They're
For
gonna
me,
pro-
it was really those two. Yeah.
and they can bet on tracking error. I mean, Good Magic is not a particularly proficient turf sire. The Dam's production
There's
as a
no
turf
turf
is
pedigree on the
terrible.
bottom.
So I know that Chad Brown has won with non-pedigreed turf horse on the turf, but they're usually not making their 6th career
I was going to
start
say,
switching to
usually
the surface.
that's the case when it's like their first or second start. You see that.
This felt a little bit like I want to take a shot with this horse. And my guess with Chad is he would say to me, I've always kind of wondered if he was a little bit turfy and he's not really going anywhere. And if the race got rained off, he
We're
would be
still
one of the
fine.
favorites. So it was sort of a free roll in that situation. But this horse is going to be bet because of connections. And to
know.
me, he's a negative turf.
I know. I agree.
And I guess Into Diamonds ran a decent enough figure last time. And I will say one thing: he had a ridiculous wide trip last
He
time.
did.
He's not
and,
impossible.
And he does come back as a gelding. And watching his replays, he looks like he's not the easiest to settle. So I wonder if that'll help him coming back because he was wide and he was kind of a little bit keen pulling on the outside as well.
What about Pookie? I mean, Pookie, he's got to get a little bit faster,
But it's the 2-year-old figures,
Yeah,
as you mentioned.
gets
Certainly
Lasix.
could improve. Ran in the tap-in last time. I agree.
yeah, no, I don't think he's impossible. I
Well,
think-
it is a filly facing the boys because Pookie scratched the other day, I
When we
believe.
got,
went
she
off.
was in
Yeah.
the race. That
She was in the
unfortunately,
race.
the Wonder
rained off.
Again prep
Yes.
that got
Yeah.
rained off.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
So she's the
yeah.
filly, but yes.
It's a good move by Tom. He probably wants to
Yeah,
get a
smart.
race into her, and often his
perfect.
horses will need a race off the layoff. But there's no killers in here, and AP Kid may win, but I don't know. Race number 9. Race number 9, unfortunately, rained off the grass. I know you and I were both interested in betting on the one horse on the inside. Midshipman is an under the radar sire.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah,
I
he's
totally
kind
agree.
of he's a bargain basement $15,000 stallion that I think does really well in general. You just went to the Linda Rice MTO. You just given up by now. Had enough.
Totally given up. No, I went back and forth between the 11 and the 2 a lot in this race, and I ended up giving the 11 stirred up a little bit of the nod because it's second off the layoff. Did have not the great dirt race, obviously, last time out, but ran on the main track and couldn't reach the top 2 in that race. But first off the claim for Linda, second off the bench.
I have no confidence that a Pintubo was a good 2-year-old, but not particularly good after that. I think it was Godolphin, right?
Pinatubo, yeah. And well, it's interesting. So this is the Shang partnership, which is funny. She
You upset
obviously.
because you haven't been invited into the Shang partnership?
I didn't
Your
even
little
know that
Shang
there was
envy
one.
here going on?
Well, I always liked Shang because she had a cool name.
Is that the
She won first out on the dirt at Keeneland as a 2-year-old, but she won at Royal Ascot for Wesley.
I don't remember her at all.
The Norfolk?
Probably one of
Yeah.
those races or something. Oh, okay.
But she
It's
did
a
win.
turf
She did
pedigree.
win first time on the dirt as a 2-year-old.
Does it bother you at all that they're putting her in for a tag when she may have
Yes.
some value?
Yes, that was a little bit of my question.
Yeah, I'm hoping she's the speed and can wire the field. And I
Oh,
took
yeah, she
somebody
should be.
else in here. I also thought the 5 might be a little bit interesting in
know.
here because the horse got bet first time out. Now, the horse hasn't done any running, but I thought this horse could be forward a bit. It was kind of interesting they left this horse in.
I agree.
What is your Katerina Rostova horse? Because she'll be a huge price.
She'll be a huge price, and my thought was that she'll be a big price, and she's going back to the main track, and I don't know if she's necessarily good on either surface, but she has run some average races on the main track.
Okay, there's no killers on paper
Nope.
in here. Acacia, thanks as usual. Head over to Naira Bets. Use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match with $200 of your initial deposit. We also have a $30 bonus. Opt in for this. If you're going to bet 150 or more at Belmont, the Big A, and Pimlico today, Pimlico is already on their third race coming up. And looks like the track is heralded. What do they got? Fast and good on the turf. Good. Yeah, I think it looks like it might be a spot shower here and there, but pretty much it looks like it'll be a nice weekend
That's
down there.
good.
Which is the last Preakness at the old Pimlico.
I know.
I have a
The
great.
press elevator finally died.
Wow.
The number of times I thought I was stuck in that.
That press elevator you're taking, you think the elevators are scary here. That press elevator at Pimlico,
Oh, yeah.
every time you get into it, you wonder if you'll ever see your friends again.
Yep.
I have a great affinity for Pimlico.
Me
I know
too.
it's a total dump.
No, I
but
love
I love
it.
its dumpiness.
I love it. Me
Yep.
too.
I,
Me too.
and I have a lot of great memories of a lot of fun
Me too.
Preaknesses. It's always, if you've never gone, if you're in this area, you've never gone to the Preakness. It's really a fun
really
thing, and it's so easy to get down there on Amtrak or drive down. And I'm glad to see it's not going to rain. I like to see the nice weather for the big races. Cross Country Big 5. 3 at Woodbine, 2 at Belmont as well. There's no show today. We'll be doing prattles between races. Acacia and I will be handling the early part of the card, and then Greg and Maggie will take over for the late part. Chris Griffin, he'll be working all day. He'll be up next. The reprise, the scratch and changes. Have a great day.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Belmont at the Big A. At this time, we ask that you please rise, remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of the national anthem. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the New York Racing Association and Live Racing Belmont at the Big A. A Friday afternoon of great racing action ahead with 9 races on today's card. The main track is rated good. The turf, races 6 and 8 remain on the turf, and the turf is good. 9 races on today's program, and here are today's scratches and changes. Race 1, start of the early pick 5. Scratch the 1, McCaw. Scratch the 1 in race 1. Race 2, start of the early pick 4. Race taken off the turf, run at 1.25 miles on the dirt. No place, show, exacta, quinella, trifecta, or